welcome back to the Around the Country series. We are in Victoria this week. I'm joined by Emily Stevens, who's an awesome operator from the Dolphin Apartments. She also has a side hustle called the Accommodation Project, where she's helping accommodation owners and managers with their businesses. Welcome to this event.
Thanks, Barb. Great to be here.
Awesome. Look, I know you quite a fair bit already, but I would love you to introduce yourself. Tell everybody what your story is, how you got to managing the Dolphin Apartments.
Thanks, Bart. Yeah, we've been here 7 years now. My husband and I, we originally country people up on northern Victoria. Travelled the world, travelled Australia. Found ourselves in Melbourne, looking to get back to the country, and this opportunity came up, and as I said, it was we were in operations and management of 300 apartments in the city, and we went to 14 apartments by the beach.
Oh, nice.
So it was a bit of a sea change for us getting back to the country.
Yeah, that's great. So now, in terms of your accommodation, what does it look like? It's on the Great Ocean Road. Tell people a bit about what the experience is like.
Yeah, so we manage 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartments down the Great Ocean Road, and we are 5 minutes from town, just across the road from the beach. It's 4.5 to 5-star apartments and quality family accommodation.
Yeah, great. Okay, so do you want to do a quick intro to the Accommodation Project as well, or should we leave that to the end?
I can do that now if you like.
Sure, that'd be great.
So the Accommodation Project, I saw a need to support and assist regional and city accommodation providers with my experience to pass it on. I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, so I see a lot of people that can be taken advantage of by the bigger boys, and also people that come into the industry that just need a helping hand. So I'm sort of here to guide them along and to make the business that they want it to be.
Beautiful. And look, I think that's kind of, it's super important in this day and age, and quite often when we do our jobs, we can feel quite lonely and on our own, and might not be getting the best tips or the best advice, and it's nice to actually talk to someone who's an actual operator and has been doing it for a long time that can actually lean into you, understand your business a bit more, especially when it does come to dealing with OTAs or guest complaints or process and operations and that sort of stuff. Is that the sort of stuff you're talking about?
Yeah. So it's more like there's a lot of stuff out there online and everything, and we certainly need that online presence. But when you're managing accommodation, you are Jill of all trades. You are marketing, your maintenance, your guest services, your managing guest complaints, managing any issues that arise, and then at the end of the day, you've got to go home and be able to get up and do it the next day. So it's a matter of managing yourself and managing the property to the best of its ability.
Cool. All right. Let's rewind a little bit and let's talk about the past 12 months, and let's catch ourselves up to now. So what are we? We're March right now. So March last year, we all went into the first lockdown in Victoria. Then I think around about now, we might have been coming out of that particular lockdown. And then we had a period where things were busy, and then locked down again, and then open up again. How about you take me through that second lockdown through to now, and how things went for you?
Yeah, so being on the regional area, we had cancellations galore when the first and second lockdown came in. The second lockdown came in just before school holidays, so that hurt quite badly. But in between, like the month of June, we were quite strong. People just wanted to get out naturally. But down on the Great Ocean Road, we saw events being cancelled, and local events. We've had last year the Great Ocean Road Running Festival. They tried to postpone it, but were unable to do that. And that's one of the town's biggest events. So in regional areas, when you have events like that accommodation providers actually depend upon, it hurts, and it made things really, really tough. And it's also you're in a small town where you can't really get out. Regional Victoria was fairly lucky in that they were allowed to travel a little bit more than what people in Melbourne were. But when Melbourne got out, they really jumped on it.
Right, because you were regional, and at that stage during that lockdown, I think all the way throughout it, people were allowed to travel regionally for tourism.
There was a period where regional Victoria was closed down as well, but there was also an extended period where regional Victoria was allowed to travel, which was good and that was during, I think, September, October, before Melbourne were allowed out, which was good because it kept things going. It kept the lights on. It kept kept people coming, because you'd still get, as much as the Great Ocean Road does depend on Melbourne a lot. There are people from Bendigo, Ballarat, Shepparton, all the way up to Hamilton, Mildura, that still want to travel and still want to go and see their own backyard.
Would you say that those people wouldn't have come had it not been for the lockdowns?
No. Regional Victoria is still, they're people that want to get out. They love their own country, and they love having a look. And right now, it was the best time to do it, because you didn't have the international tourists.
Yeah.
You could get the perfect shot of the Apostles because you didn't have all those people photobombing you.
Yeah. Okay, so then just catching up to now, so March and April, how are they looking? Has April started to tail off a little bit?
No, not greatly. We're doing the best April that we've had.
Yeah, great. Okay, so overall things are pretty positive. You're pretty optimistic.
Yep, and looking ahead, the forward months on par to pre-COVID.
Yep.
So we're still travelling quite well.
So better or the on par?
On par.
On par. Yeah,
So,
interesting.
but at the same time, and I expect that because we're kind of coming to winter, people are still going to be hesitant to make those bookings. So I'm expecting a lot of last-minute bookings to come through, because with the border closures and everything like that, and also winter coming, which is COVID's a winter sort of virus, that people will be hesitant to travel during the winter times.
So awesome. So things are looking pretty positive. Let's talk about just the avatar, the people that are visiting. So you said that obviously you had that regional market happening. So there's two things I want to cover. One is avatars, and the other thing that I want to talk about is length of time that, or how far in advance they book accommodation. Yep. So in terms of avatar, has it changed? Is it changing all the time, or is it now you've just got a different traveller that's visiting you, or is it all the same?
No, I'd take away the internationals, and it's the same domestic Australian traveller. Our apartments are very much suited to families. So we have a lot of families come, especially during the school holidays. February, you get the grey nomads that don't want to travel during the school holidays, but are still getting around. So, and you've got the people that have got young kids that don't need to travel during the high periods, but can take the shoulder periods because they don't have to take the kids out of school. So they're still out and about. March and April, and you've still got the couples coming down as well. Mm-hmm. The middle-aged people that have got the income and can take holidays when they want.
Yeah. Okay, wow, that's different. A lot of people that I talk to do say that their avatars changed dramatically over COVID, and I guess a lot of it's going to be down to your marketing, what you have to offer, your location, and that sort of thing. So it really does vary. So good. So that would mean to me that you'd be obviously optimistic moving forward, because that marketplace hasn't really changed, and because it hasn't changed, it should stay pretty consistent, because it's just being consistent overall. As long as people are allowed to travel, you're feeling that it should be okay. Yeah,
that's right. And now's the time where people are going, half the people you check in and you go, have you been to a polar bear before? And they say, 20 years ago, or before kids. So they're bringing the kids back to where they had a great time.
Yeah. I think that's kind of similar to me as well. I love going down there because I remember going down there as a kid as well. Okay, and then the interesting one is how far ahead people are booking, and what we find from the data that we're looking at is you find that people are booking more last minute overall, but there's also a lot of anomalies that sort of happen, a lot of forward bookings that you kind of wouldn't expect. How are you finding that?
So right now we're finding that people are looking at the July school holidays at the moment. There's quite a few looking at that time, but at the moment there's also the last minute. You're always going to have the last minute people, and that's with society changing. One thing we have noticed is that people they're booking about 4 to 6 weeks in advance, but they're booking for longer. We've certainly noticed an increase in our length of stay, which has been, great for the cleaning and everything. And people are, they're wanting to spend more and to stay in the one place longer as opposed to moving around a bit.
So, have you found any kind of opportunities in COVID in terms of getting more yield from guests, in terms of partnerships, in terms of sort of changing your business?
So we've always had an early bird special, and so either 60 days or 30 days in advance. And in the winter, we've always had our, stay 5, pay 4 deals, things like that, to encourage the longer stays, which are still working now. And we're finding that because people are actually looking ahead for longer stays, they are able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so so looking forward, you're feeling pretty optimistic. I'll throw a little curveball at you. Snap lockdowns. Okay. So, yes. How prepared do you feel for a snap lockdown in Victoria if it was to happen tomorrow?
Yep, it's the way. We have a different attitude in that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It hurts. When you watch, money just walk out the door, it hurts. But at the end of the day, by managing the guests and saying, hey, you've come direct, you can have the choice of a refund, or we can make a booking in the future for you. We can hold that deposit for you. And they're like, that's great, we want to come down, hold it for us, we'll be in contact.
Great.
By managing the guests and actually working with them, as opposed to getting angry or getting upset, they come back to you. They come back to you. And that's another thing of a way that we encourage people to book direct as well. Book direct, and we can work with you as opposed to, calling overseas when with snap lockdown and you have to call booking.com or something like that. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, I really like that, and I think that's an angle that isn't quite often talked about when you book direct is, hey, if something does go wrong, you've actually got a much better place to actually talk to because you're talking directly with the owner. Conversely, though, I think that some people would actually see it the other way around. They might think, well, if I book through one of the big OTAs, if something goes wrong, they're obviously going to look after me because they're a big company, which isn't always the case.
No, and that's another misconception is that the Booking.com and the Expedias, that's simply a platform. It comes back to the property that actually makes the decision. So, and that's people go, oh no, Expedia will give my money back. It's just like, well, it's actually up to the property whether they give you money back. Yeah. And obviously you're going to do what you think is best, but by having that one-on-one contact, you're building a rapport. You're building you're building up your PR, and that goes a long way.
For sure. And look, the reason why I mention it because obviously there's the lockdowns that happen all of a sudden in Perth, and there was the ones in Queensland as well. And look, there, if you're going to gamble, the odds are probably pretty good that something will happen at some stage, if not now, in the future. And having those systems and processes is incredibly important. And for me, what's become incredibly obvious is that you need to have people's contact details.
Yeah.
Email address is fantastic. If you've got their phone number, even better. If you could just text everybody on the day of some news coming through that might be adversely affect their booking, you can just text them all. You can send them a video just saying, hey, I've got you. Don't panic. Just give us a little bit of time to figure out what's going on, rather than smashing me on the phone, and we'll look after you in this way or that way or whatever. So yeah, it was super interesting. And the other thing that's also come out of this is that if you have, you also might want to clear the availability. So you might have a shutdown that happens, but it might affect Metro Melbourne, but not the regional areas. And you might need to figure out who's not coming, because you might be able to find someone from regional to come in and take their spot. So that was something else that was kind of pointed out to me, that the better your systems are, the faster you can move in a scalable way. What about your cancellation policies? Have they changed? Have you updated them? What do they look like?
We have same cancellation policies. We simply say that should a lockdown occur, we are flexible and we work with you. So you have the choice of either cancelling with a refund or moving the reservation.
Yeah, great.
And once people understand that, they go, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
We're not going to, as I say, we're not going to be the people that say, right, the government said you can't come, but you've got a reservation, so you must come, or else you're going to pay for it.
Sure.
That's just not fair, and it's not good business.
Yeah, I think it's not great business at all. I mean, that's gonna frustrate people a lot, and yeah, that's gonna cause all sorts of issues. Have you had to? Obviously, things have been better. Is there a bit of finance and budgeting sort of that you guys have to do to sort of go, hey, hold on a second, do we need to create more of a buffer than we would normally need?
Yeah, that's certainly been a different approach. So to actually have that bit more of a buffer, so that, to manage the cash flow. It's also, sometimes you've got to tell the guest that yes, we will process your refund, but when it may take a few days.
Yeah, good. Cool. All right. Look, I think as a sort of overview of what's happening for your business, and Vic, I think that's an awful lot of information. I think there's some cool little takeaways as well that people can pick up. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the community, on the podcast, on the YouTube, or even the Facebook group?
Yeah, I think it's all about working together with everyone within the accommodation community. It's Airbnb and STRs have come a long way, and for the regional hotel motels side of things, it can be a little bit scary. But if we all work together, all people are looking for so many different types of accommodation. There is room for everyone, and it's just a matter of having your niche and having your point of difference, and working forward to the way that you want to do. Because people that go into this industry can sometimes go into it a little bit naive, but they've obviously got a passion, and they obviously have something that they want to give, and it's a matter of bringing that out and making the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, look, whenever there's change, and be it an Airbnb or STR type thing happening, this isn't driven by Airbnb, and I keep on trying to tell everyone, it's driven by what consumers actually want. And if your product isn't matching what your consumers are looking for, then you need to look at your product, and you can't try to protect that product by excluding all the other products that people are actually looking for, because you won't win in the long run anyway. No matter what happens, people will just start to go in a different way. So if the STRs are very popular for whatever reason, then you may need to either appeal to a different sensibility of your audience, find a different audience, or revamp your business that's going to hit some of those notes that people are looking for. And that's ever changing in business, and you've got to keep on changing and evolving. And I really like what you said about sharing. I don't think that there's so much information which is available out there nowadays. I don't think that, it's so easy to get it, but if we can help each other out, then we can all just help each other be a stronger community and work together to figure out problems so we can get through life a little bit easier. I think that's the operative thing, right?
And it's and the way, when I thought about the accommodation project, the aim was to that, the way I see it, it's a win-win. If people if there's a good quality accommodation product out there, people are going to want to stay longer, which means they're going to give back to the community. They're going to take an extra meal. They're going to go to an extra activity. And then they're going to enjoy themselves so much they might come back, or they're going to refer it. So it's a win-win for everyone. And it's a matter of having that quality operational accommodation that people need and people want. And that's, without that, the regional areas are going to suffer.
Yeah, and actually, you've opened up another angle for me. So it's the same thing, because we went up to Bright when over the Christmas break on the way back from Canberra, and it was interesting because there were some places that were really struggling with the volume of customers coming through. It was just that busy. And there were places that were shut down, like in the busiest periods. It's like, oh no, we take Tuesdays off, or whatever it was. And the issue with that is for us as a consumer, it's like, okay, we might have missed out. It might be upsetting, but it does mean that we're going to take our money and go somewhere else or leave early or whatever. So every part of that community is incredibly important to keep the guests happy, to keep them coming back, to say, oh, you remember how we went to Bright? It was a great experience. And that's really important for those whole areas to work well and then synergy together, rather than, just everyone on their own trying to figure it out.
That's it. And it's about, and that'll just build up the tourism, build up the, whether it's a festival that people come to town for, or whether it's just a weekend away. If you've got the product and your operations work and answer questions, and for the consumer, then you'll be able to build relationships and move forward.
Beauty. Okay, look, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your expertise. Folks, if you haven't been to the Apollo Bay, I do recommend the Dolphin Apartments. I have been there. I'm not saying this with a vested interest at all, but I really enjoyed it, and you'll get to meet Emily and have a chat. The other thing is the Accommodation Project. If you are a property manager, or if you've got an owner, or if you've got anything to do with property, you've got any problems that you want to talk about, or if you just need a bit of support, and if you just want to have a chat, then Emily would happily start to have a chat and just see how you guys can complement each other to help each other out. And I'm sure that she'll find a lot more value within your business that you guys can unlock to make more money, which is great. Thank you so much, Emily. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thanks, Bart. No, thank you very much. It's been great, and it's good to see the community